Welcome to another episode of Friday Night Pint Live. We've got lots to talk about. Rumours circulating that David Moyes will be getting the sack, regardless of if he keeps us up and wins the Conference League. We'll be discussing if that's harsh, if that's unfair, or the right decision. Not rumours. Moyes has confirmed Scamacca requires knee surgery, and which could spell the end of his season. We're going to speak a bit about the Genk game. Does that worry you, that result, that performance? Are you worried about our chances of winning this competition? And we'll be looking ahead to the Arsenal game. Do we stand any chance of getting something against the league leaders? Nick, good to see you, mate. Good to see you.
And you, mate. Nice to see you. Busy boys.
Yeah, like I said, lots to talk. I did say Ghent and not Genk, didn't I? Everyone says been saying Genk. Before we get started, I just want to say, we want to share our thoughts with the family of the West Ham fan who sadly passed away out there in Ghent. I haven't seen what the fan's name was, who it was, but, obviously a diehard fan who followed us away, with a small allocation, 1,000 allocation. And no fan should go to football and not come home. Really sad to see.
Yeah, absolutely. My thoughts go out to his family, friends. Really tragic story. You sit here moaning about the football, and then things like that come home to roost, and they sort of remind you there's more to life than football, and
puts things into perspective.
Put things into perspective. Yeah, and real sad story. I really do feel for his family and friends, and rest in peace.
So, and if anyone else was out in Ghent, do let us know in the comments. We'd like to hear from all the fans that did go to Ghent and how it was. How was your experience? And we'll be talking a bit about the Ghent game. So it's circulating. I think it was the Times that published that the news that Moyes, his future has been decided, his fate is decided, and he will be getting let go at the end of the season, regardless of us winning the Conference League. Now, there's two things to look at here. One, do you believe that story? And then we'll talk about if that is true. Is it harsh? Should he be sacked? I mean, I don't know, Nick, personally. I don't know how that gets leaked. I don't even know if the club know what they're going to do at the end of the season. So I take that with a massive pinch of salt, that story.
Yeah, listen, there's obviously some sort of story there. I mean, a lot of this tabloid journalism is literally just, second guessing and putting two and two together and seeing what they come up with at times. But, I feel that there may be truth to the story. In my opinion, Dan, if it was down to me, I would let him go. I mean, the last time they done this sort of thing and sort of it leaked out that we wouldn't be keeping a manager regardless of what position we came in and what happened, and we wouldn't be renewing a contract or taking up an option to keep him on with Allardyce. And if you remember, after that announcement, it wasn't an announcement, but as soon as that story leaked, our season went to pot because there is no motivation there, and when you keep on, adding this on top of, the likes of, Rice going to be leaving at the end of the season, players, coming to the end of their careers, it doesn't give us a lot of people that are in charge of the side that want to, that will have to live with the consequence and whether we go down or not, or win the trophy or not, and I don't see where the motivation comes from. If this is true, it's.
Do you think that they've just? So do you think there's a chance they've told Moyes like they did, like we heard they did with Sam, like end of the season you're done, or do you think it's a bit of guesswork of them? Because I mean, to me, if I look at it logically, I think they probably will let him go because when you have a manager who's needs one game to save his job that many times in the season, the relationship with the fans has broke down. I think it's inevitable, but I don't know if I can believe that Sullivan sat down and said to Moyes, you know, sorry, at the end of the season, whatever happens, we're moving on?
I don't think that conversation's happened, but I do believe that there's people, you know, I don't think, you know, the internals of a club, you know, they're not watertight. You know, people are told and people leak it. And sometimes they leak it before, you know, the people within the club know about it, you know. So, like, you'll see people leaking stories about players being signed and like the players that are already playing, they don't know nothing about it. And, you know, I've seen that happen, you know, more than once.
It's so just a case of where would that be leaking it from? Because that's got to be the manager's future.
The top. It's the very top.
It's the top. That's what I mean.
No, do not get it twisted here, right? When you're talking about, you know, these people's sources and the in the knows and all that sort of thing, and we're not an in the know. You know, I tried my hand up with in the know, and I got fucking death threats once when someone give me a false bit of information. I would not wish that upon anyone. I've got a good friend, exit West Ham employee. He's a very brave man because, you know, if you get something wrong, you're in big trouble. Believe me.
He's anonymous for a reason. Put it that way.
Huh?
He's anonymous for a reason. Put it that way.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Like, there's people out there that want to fucking strangle you and things like that. You know what I mean? Over, you know, something that ain't that fucking important, to be quite honest with you. But, you know, it comes from the top. They leak what they want to leak. You know, I remember a couple of years ago we had I had a good discussion with Sean Whetstone about Declan Rice's contract, and I see Sean the other day, and we're not enemies. We're not, you know, we're on friendly terms, and we acknowledge each other, and I would never be personal or anything like that. You know, but that sort of thing shouldn't be leaked. It shouldn't be leaked. That can only come from one place. You know, that can only come from the very top, and they will leak what they want to leak, and that is a fact. You know, and it's playing mind games. It's manipulating, you know, tabloids. It's trying to force players into doing this and doing that. So, you know, there could be some truth to it. Listen, it makes sense. It makes sense at the end of the day, but, you know, after watching that.
Harsh though, like, because that's the thing.
No, it's not harsh, man. No, it's not harsh because I
have to say this. The reason why I asked, Nick, because I'll let you go, but the reason why I asked, because I've seen on Twitter there was a lot of debate from fans, even some people that have been, you know, quite strongly Moyes out, who want Moyes to go, have said if he keeps us up and wins the Conference League, that's out of order. Like, just sacking him. You know, it's disrespectful to him. It's harsh. All of this, they've thrown it out there. So that's why, obviously, I'm asking the question and see what you think.
No, I don't think it is harsh. You know, look, if we ever want to be successful, and I mean this with the greatest of respects, yeah. Up to now, we've played in the Europa League. You know, and I'm not saying, the Conference League, and I'm not disrespecting any of these teams. You can only beat what's in front of you. We played a load of shite. Yeah, we've been the best team in that Europa League for the teams we've played. We've been the favourites in every game. He should be winning them games. If he's losing them games, he's either chucking them away or there's something grossly wrong. Listen. Whatever you think again, they're not they've come 4th or lower in the Belgian league every year for as long as I remember. They're not winning the league. They're not, you know, pulling up trees in the Belgian league. It's the Belgian league. If you can't beat, even the bottom Premier League team should be able to beat Ghent. Yeah. And look, when I saw the way he set up yesterday, some of the players he put in, 7 defensive players to try and tighten up the defence against side away from a bit. Okay, it's away from home, but you know, we should have the tools to beat them. You know, we should be confident enough that we can, you know, going pound for pound, toe to toe with them. We should be able to beat them. And he goes for 7 defensive-minded players. You know, playing 5 at the back and 2 defensive midfielders, leaving only the 3 up front. Leaving again Danny Ings isolated. Jarrod Bowen trying to do it all on his own.
You're jumping the gun into the
No,
Ghent
no, I know,
and
no, but I
Europa
am
League.
making
Yeah,
a point. I am making a point. I am
yeah.
making a point. Yeah. And you tell me that that is progressive football by conceding 18 shots. Tell me now how on earth, if you was performing like that at a normal day job, how you keep your job, because you can't. You can't. If you turn up at work every day and your work over the last few years had been good, but it was declining, you'd be pulled in the office, said, sort it out. And if you hadn't sorted it out within the next sort of 2-3 weeks, they'd be saying to you, get out the fucking door. We're going to get someone else to replace you. In any other job. So to get to the end, they say, I said after last night, I would have him fucking out the door before Arsenal.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I agree with you.
At the end of the day, that Ghent game there is a knockout game, and he shits the bed. He shit the bed yesterday. He fucking shit himself.
Yeah,
It's seeping into the players, good players that we've paid a lot of money for, that were worth a lot of money. It's seeping into these players. You can see it. You can look. I've heard stories. I won't say. I've spoken to someone today when I was coming back from Stratford who had been to Ghent, who had been talking to people with inside the club. This is a bit of an exclusive. He says the club is rotten from the core. They're at each other's throats.
That don't bode well. That don't bode well. And like you say, it's such a shame because we got to the point, and this is when what it seemed to be, the culture seemed to be quite good, quite positive, in those early seasons. And the achievement, if Moyes wins that trophy, he's done something great for the club. You can't take it away from him. Brilliant. Clap it. People say it'd be a great season. I don't think it'd be a great season because you can't take away from all the shit that we've seen, but it's a great achievement, right? But you cannot keep him on sentiment, on the merit of that achievement. You have to decide to keep him based on the future. Is he the man to take us forward? And over the course of a full season, I believe he's shown he hasn't. Whether he wins that Conference League, which we were one of the favourites to win, you can't keep him because he's, West Ham ain't won a trophy in X, Y, and Z years, and how can you sack him? No, it's business. That's the club comes first. You don't keep him just because we look bad if we sack the manager. He's got to go for the progression of the club, because I think he's done all he can. It's all he has one way of playing. He has one approach, and when that gets found out, when that stops working, he has no other alternative. So what do? Do we go back to having a small squad playing a counter-attacking football in the summer, and that's going to get us so far? Then we implode, and then we try and, he's got to go just for it's nothing personal. Well done for winning us the trophy, but we have to progress, and he can have a new challenge. Honestly, and I'm not even saying this disrespectfully, I think a club like Norwich or something at this stage of his career would be a great challenge for him, because small squad, not very much money to spend, he would do well. That's the man. That'd be great for Norwich and good for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, let's. So I can see why people on the outside looking in would think it's harsh, but I think it's totally reasonable. For we have to do it.
To be successful in any walk of life, you have to be harsh.
Got to be ruthless.
You have to be ruthless. You have to be cutthroat. You have to be willing to tread on some toes. You have to be willing to do what's best for you and not what's best for them. And that's why clubs like us are not successful, because we are too sentimental. He's done a good job the last 2 years. So what? You're only as good as the last game. And I'm sorry, but if it was down to me, the last game was fucking pathetic. And that is how you move on in life. If you're not performing, you're out the fucking door. That's how the likes of you didn't see Alex Ferguson in the Man United team of the 90s and the early 2000s. Say, we can't get when Beckham started declining in his form and playing loss of form and wanting to go to Real Madrid. We can't get rid of him because he's David Beckham. He's been here. He went, fucking not good enough. Get out the door. Arsenal went, You know, the likes of Vieira, who served him so well over so many years. Henry, you know, when it was time for him to go, they went. You know, it wasn't like, oh, you know, he's been here for so many years. Let's get him to a testimonial year. No. They said, right, Vieira, he's on the decline. Get him out the fucking door while we've got enough money, or we can get enough money for him, you know, to replace him with a good quality player. You know, he's not going to be able to do the job that he did. And yeah, it is ruthless. It's horrible. What do? We extend people's contracts by a year that overstay their welcome. You know, oh, should we just give Aaron Cresswell another 1 year deal? Give Zabaleta another 1 year deal? No, we can't do that. We can't do that if we want to be successful. That's not how business works. And I'm surprised because we've got one of the most ruthless businessmen on the fucking in the country, in my opinion, because he'd tread over anyone. He fucking tread over his own money to sell a porn film. So
yeah. But he comes across so indecisive when it comes to football. Like he's too scared to make a decision. So he's either making too many decisions or not making enough. And no, that's it.
Yeah, he's just not fucking cut out for football, David Moyes. For football, David Sullivan. You know, he's got into a business where he finds he can, you know, he can fucking make a lot of money, and he's playing with the big boys, and he ain't a big boy in all walks of life. You know, he might be a billionaire, but there are people now that own clubs that will, you know, could buy and sell him 50 fucking times before they even fucking, you know, got to the bottom of their pocket, let alone their bank account. So, yeah.
And listen, you know, people don't sit there and look at David Moyes as a victim we should cry after. He's a millionaire, gets paid very handsomely. He'll get his compensation and he'll decide whether he wants to retire or manage again. He's not going to be signing on in the job centre on Monday. So don't be too worried about David Moyes. Let's get some comments in. So I have to read this comment, by the way. Someone replied to the tweet I tweeted out the show, and Cat Gaff said, "It's unfair to say Moyes has got nothing right all season. He always puts 11 players on the pitch, never 10 or 12. And that's fair. He always puts the right number of players out on the pitch." Paulie Walnuts says Moyes has had a good 2 years, but he's overstayed. It's gone stale and predictable. Spot on, Paulie. Tatted Ginger 88 says, and I believe he's an Arsenal fan, says your players are done with Moyes. They don't respect him anymore as he has nothing new to offer them players. Same style, same formation, picking wrong players. Outside they're seeing that. Amadit says, let's be honest, would you keep a manager that spent 200 mil and has made 95 million pounds worth of two strikers want to leave?
That's another wing why I don't understand, you know, why we're so desperate to keep hold of him. It cost us £2 million to get 2 million to I think 2.5 million or something like that. Plus whatever it would take to, you know, employ someone else. Maybe if we'd done it earlier in the season when it should have been done, you know, we've all noted that them 3 games, home losses in a row against teams around us should have been the point where they pulled the trigger. If they're ruthless, they would have. We could have got probably a good manager then, a top manager. Yeah. Now we're looking. If we was to sack him tomorrow, we'd be looking at a survival manager. I mean,
if you look at it, right,
bad for the situation we're in, but you know, there's no time now. There's no time.
If you work for like a stockbroking firm or something like that, right, and you had poorly invested £200 million of the company's money, you're getting sacked. Like, no two ways about it. Like, any company, and you're badly investing 200 million quid, mate. No, you ain't getting the opportunities that Moyes is getting. Martin Edwards says, I feel your pain, but when Moyes was with us, we kept him after beating relegation the previous season. That's an Everton fan talking from experience. Gary Crawford says, do you blame Moyes now or Sullivan for not sacking him? Sullivan is watching this crap just like us. I don't understand. Get my head around why he's not sacking him yet. They're both, I mean, yeah, Moyes is to blame directly from the pitch, but yeah, Sullivan, the buck has to stop at Sullivan. It always does. It always goes back to that. He's the decision maker. The what's it called? The majority shareholder. He can't come out of it with his hands. We've all focused on Moyes this season, right? Because Sullivan backed him, right? The club, Kretinsky, backed Sullivan this season. But when he's allowed to keep failing and keep putting that shit out, then you've got to pay some attention to David Sullivan. So let's see, John T. He's already been kept for sentiment about 5 months too long for me. Agree, mate. Black Country Hammer says, I believe that was a Black Country accent. Moyes can't take us any further. Prove that. A couple more here. Hammer Time says, he's been plenty of time to turn this around, and he's failed. Do you know what? I was really, people think like, oh, he's just picking all the ones he agrees with. Really trying to find ones that think, nah, we should keep him. Moyes is, Moyes is harsh to sack him. Couldn't find him. Claret and Booze, I believe that's Nick, says, bang on, Nicky. All this sentiment bollocks makes my skin crawl. Mental that some fans want to hold us back. And yeah, listen, I have to respect to Nick Claret and Booze. He blocked a lot of Moyes sort of propaganda accounts for his own sanity. And part of me was tempted to do the same because some of them just drive you bloody mad.
I've found the block button on Twitter recently.
This WHU game day clown, like, I don't know if you've ever seen him. Some of the shit that geezer tweets. Most deluded fan I've ever seen in my life. Matt Rainey, $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Matt. Really appreciate it, my friend. Says, being sentimental will kill us. Moyes got to go regardless if we win the ECL. Cheers for the pros in your run, but the cons, but most cons is down to you, Mr. David Moyes. And
I think, listen, I've got, sometimes I think to myself, am I being too harsh on him? Am I being too harsh on Moyes? But then I just find the guy arrogant now. He's become arrogant. He's become, very reliant on what he's done in the past. And, for me, I think in football, that's a recipe for disaster, Preston won the league 95 years ago. Does that mean they should have the geezer that was in charge 95 years ago? No, of course it doesn't. Matt Letizia was a top player for Southampton. Should he still be playing now? No. Your time comes to an end. And when you're talking about, as soon as you start talking about the fans and all this being proper fan, what does he know about? Let's be honest, right? And I'm going to say this about, anybody that talks about the fans in football. What do they know about being proper fans? What is a proper fan? What, all this, it's time to stand up and be proper fan. What's a proper fan? Is it sitting down and shutting up by, looking at the shit you served up? No. They want us to be fans when they want us to be fans. And then when we want to be fans, they want us to be customers. You have to decide, if I was a customer somewhere and I wasn't happy with the product, I'll be either sending it back or asking for my money back. Do they want me to be a customer or do they want me to be a fan? If I'm a fan, I'm a fan.
They can't make their mind up.
It's a proper fan. I want to know what I want to, I'd like an answer from that. What is a proper fan?
It changes to suit them. That's the problem.
Should we be cheering? Should we be booing? Do we have to have prompts like they did at Hull that time when they had songs going around it? What is a proper fan? I see a lot of this about, we need to get behind the boys and all that. You do to get yourself excited. You do have to, have something to grip onto. You have to have something to hold on to. You have to have, of course we want to get behind the boys. At home, that hasn't happened. That hasn't happened in many, many years. Even at Upton Park, it didn't happen. The home atmosphere is dying. It's dying because of these sanitized stadiums. It's dying because of these fucking broadcasters. It's dying because they fucking, anyone that's, dare stand up and sing, they fucking sling them out with fucking 40 MMA fighters. That's why the home atmosphere is dying. Yeah. There are very few grounds that you go to now where Leeds is one, Wolves is one, but there's very few grounds in the top league where you go there and it's a wall of noise. If it's not a big game, there is very few fans. But if you want us to be proper fans, tell me what a proper fan is. What is a proper
Yeah, I
fan?
would love to a clear definition, right, in writing of what a proper fan is.
But let's be fair,
No,
what do you know about being a proper fan? Because ever since he was the age of 16, he's played football. And when he finished playing football, he managed football. So every time he's been around football, he's been either on the pitch or on the sidelines. And if he hasn't been on the pitch or on the sidelines, he's being paid by someone.
Yeah.
I pay my money. You know, that gives me the right to be whatever the fuck fan I want. You start giving me free tickets, I'll do what you want me to do. And I'm not asking for free tickets. Let me make that quite sure. I'm not asking for free tickets. I'm not turning around and going, give me free tickets, I'll do what you want. No, I don't want free tickets. I want to reserve my right to pay my money and say whatever the fuck I want to say. Because that is what, within reason, that is what I pay my fucking money for. If I think it's shit, it's shit. That's why I have never taken, and you have never taken, and Ryan and Scott and Graham, any favours from the club, even when they was offered, because I would not want them to sit there and tell me what I can and cannot say. Whether it be on the camera, whether it be in my seat, I will never take a freebie from that football club if they're trying to manipulate what I'm trying to say. I'll never take an interview. I'll never take a favour. I owe them. I've done them favours. They've never done me a favour back, and I won't want one. That's for sure.
There you go. There you go. By the way, apologies, Black Country Hammer. I mixed you up with the West Country. I did a West Country accent when I should have done that. I can't even do it. It's some sort of brumming stuff. Apologies. But do you know what? Before we get on to Smackers, I want to quickly ask you this because I see. Hold on, let me read this out. Adam the Architect, 352 subject. Thank you, Adam. Moyes in 352 for the win. Only joking. Wait, are you only joking about the Moyes in part, or the only 352 for the win? I imagine it's the Moyes in part. But thank you very much, Adam. Really appreciate that. Quickly, want to ask you this before we get on to Samaka. Speaking on proper fans, Ian the Moose Abram has been on Twitter, been on TalkSport, winding up West Ham fans, getting under our skin again. But some people agreed with him, actually. He said that, he would take relegation in a heartbeat to win the Conference League. He wants his day out. He doesn't care about, if we get relegated, as long as we win that. And that's been a sentiment with around trophies for a while. A few people have said that, but your day out, you have your day out. And Moose's day out would involve free food, I imagine. But yeah, for that day out, you just got to think of what it would cost you. And listen, a day out at a final, though not many fans are going to get that day out because it's a 20,000 seats stadium. We've got 4,000 tickets. It's a massive cost. It's going to come at people just think, oh, you just pop down to the championship for a few, and come back up. Not that long. Really, we're fucked if we go down. I wouldn't, honestly, I wouldn't take that.
To be honest, relegation does not scare me. It doesn't scare me. It doesn't scare me in the way it used to scare me because, I love seeing West Ham compete at the top league. I love seeing West Ham compete against the big teams. But, the further along the years go, it's not a competition anymore. It's a Europa Super League within a league. That's what it's becoming with these, multi-billionaires. You see that Newcastle takeover the other day. It come out that the government asked the Premier League to sanction the sale of Newcastle. The government, they rejected it because of, let's be honest, they didn't reject it because of what they say they rejected it for human rights. They rejected it for piracy. That's what they did. They was pirating the Premier League. And they wasn't shutting it down. And the Premier League,
it was the Al Jazeera, wasn't it? Was it?
Yeah, in Al Jazeera, yeah. And that's why they wasn't sanctioning it. But the government stepped in. What's it got to do with the fucking government? And it's not about football anymore. Why would the government? Do you think the government would be, stepping into a football deal 30, 40 years ago? No, of course they wouldn't. It's not. These clubs are not community clubs anymore. They're not community clubs. They're multi-billion-pound franchises. They're multi-million-pound, billion-pound businesses. They're multi-billion-pound assets. That's what they are. You are a a speck of that sand on a beach. That's what you are to them now. It doesn't matter. It's all about money. And I'll be honest with you, I can't wait till the whole thing fucking collapses upon itself. I'll be honest with you, I can't wait for it. And everyone that's fucking, you know, all these people that are fucking sitting there, what do you call it? Fucking lording it up and, you know, sucking everyone dry, sucking us dry, sucking everyone dry, and, you know, basically telling all the people that, you know, followed football before all of this fucking franchise nonsense to basically fuck off. We've got someone else to replace you. I can't wait till it all collapses on itself. And anyone in that top, they fucking go down with it as well. Because it doesn't matter to me, Dan. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but then why do we do it, Nick? Why do we go then?
Whether I'm watching West Ham in League One, League Two, the Conference League, over the fucking park, over in Wickford, you know, community fucking park, whatever. I don't care where I watch West Ham. But it affects them, you know.
Do you know what? Do you know? Yeah, but it's not. The thing is, Nick, I would agree with you. If we were still at Upton Park, I'd agree with you, because I enjoyed the hell out of our championship seasons. Enjoyed the hell out of it. Still didn't affect me. You know, my experience, my enjoyment of watching West Ham one bit. Like I said, I enjoyed it more, if anything. I think you're looking at a grander issue. But when we boil down to the reality for us, for West Ham, if we get relegated, our match day experience is going to be 100 times worse. Watching football in that stadium, you know, Luton Town, where that's going to get fucking promoted, or whoever else is coming on a fucking Tuesday night. There's about 30,000 people in a 66,000 seater stadium. The atmosphere is like a graveyard. We're still getting probably charged more than anyone else in that league. We're probably going to stay in it for a very long time. We're going to be very in financial trouble, a lot of financial trouble, based on, you know, a lot of the wages and everything that we've got and the spend. And there's a chance we could get relegated again. There's a chance we could end up like Derby and face all sorts of problems. I understand what you're saying about listen, there's plenty of reasons to be disillusioned, but you can't say, like, you know, those moments that we had, right? The Sevillas, the Leons at home, right? Which obviously we have to give credit for David Moyes to be involved in.
Yeah,
or like Tottenham, the derbies against Tottenham, them packed out stadiums, atmosphere, and we have seen it, that there can be an atmosphere. All of that gone, and we're just, because it's just that this ground, just a shell of ourselves, and people think we have a great fan base. I don't care what anyone says. In my opinion, we have the best fan base in the country. But just move into this stadium. I've seen so many lifelong, hardcore, passionate fans give up their season tickets because it's not their West Ham anymore. It's not the experience they want. And the season after the first season, a few more did, and a few more did, because it weren't the same. And if we go down, that's the straw that breaks the camel's back, of people going, it's just not worth it, you know. I completely.
No. I think that's where you're wrong there, because I think that's where hardcore fans will stay. It's these fucking, and I don't mean to use the word, but these people that are not, you know, the tourists and the people that are not that interested in the club that will fuck off, that won't bother coming anymore. You know,
no, they'll stop. I'm talking about them old school fans that don't like the stadium. The fans that it's because, like I said, you must know fans, Nick, who give it up because of the stadium, right? Because they didn't like it, and the atmosphere and the experience weren't the same. And there's people that have been on the fence ever since. Look, we've been on the fence. We was just talking to AFTV today, just asking us about it. We was still not happy with it. And there's a lot of them, I reckon, there's a lot more that would go and give up. The people that you're talking about would, but I think a few more of them old school fans will go, because it's just they're just hanging on because they're scared to give up. A lot of people are scared to give up their season tickets in case they can never get one again or something. But like I said, a lot of hardcore fans stopped going just because of the stadium, and the stadium would be 100 times worse in the Championship. I'm telling you.
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, and for one day that will never get those days, very unlikely to get those days again, and it ensures no one else gets to enjoy those days. So, yeah, No, I'd rather not. But yeah, so look, let's talk about Gianluca Scamacca. He's got to have knee surgery. Probably out for the season. Listen, I really rate him. I really rate Scamacca, but so far this has proved out to be a disastrous signing.
It's probably what he needs, to be honest. Get this season.
Sorry, Nick. I missed these super chats actually just before you said that. Josiah, good old Josiah, £5 super chat. In my opinion, not harsh if Moyes is sacked regardless. Thank you for that, Josiah. I agree with you. Good old Steve, WHU Bell, 4999 super chat, says, definition of a proper fan is a West Ham fan who follows the club home and away and has to put up with the shit being served up. And I think the fans as well abroad who fucking stay up till silly hours or wake up silly hours as well to watch the shit as well. And Steve, I think he's saying he's one of the hardcore fans that did give up his going to the stadium just because he didn't like it, which is fair enough to anyone that does that. But yeah, sorry, Nick, on Scamacca, knee surgery, not looking good.
I think it needs to get this season out of the way, and not coming back is probably good for him. He's not been treated well at all. He's not really shown the right attitude. It's been a bit of a disaster of a signing. Been good in Europe. That's why we will miss him in Europe, because I think he's that sort of player. But in terms of Premier League, I can't say. Look, you can't say. I can't say that he wouldn't have done nothing, because he could have hit some good form at the last bit of the season. But I think he, more than anyone, has become very disillusioned with life at West Ham, because he's been bought in for big money, and he's not been really given a chance, an extended chance to show what he can do. He's not been given the tools to be able to show his talents. And you'll argue like Haller. And it's just not a David Moyes signing. And I think that's another nail in David Moyes' coffin, to be quite honest with you, because he spent a year and a half trying to pick out a guy that was the perfect replacement for Haller, someone that he wanted to, to work with. And this is the guy he came up with, which is basically Haller Mark II. And it just baffles me. And that's another reason why I can't see how we've held on to Moyes for so long, because you're basically chucking money down the fucking pisser. He'll either be gone. He's either played his last game for West Ham, or if a progressive young manager comes in with good ideas and knows how to use him, he'll be a fucking superstar the next time he treads on the pitch. I think it might be the best thing for him to get away from Moyes, to be honest with you, because we don't need Moyes fucking poisoning these guys' minds anymore.
Yeah, fucking draining him, absolutely draining him. Yeah, like I said, I really rate him, but it's just been it's not been a good fit. Him and Moyes are like oil and water. Honestly, just don't mix. El Chico raises a good point, actually, that I almost forgot to talk about. He said Giza injured his knee versus Leeds away, which was January. Why have you waited till 9 games left to do the surgery? Using injections all season was a waste of time. Fucking pathetic management again. This is the thing, the injections. We've heard about this. These injections that they're sort of giving these players to try and get them to heal quicker and get a little bit more out of them. But it's not an alternative to surgery. It's not an alternative. And really, it's in the long term, I think it's just made things worse. And it's just, I think it's poor. And that's why he's in the situation, rather than if we'd got the surgery earlier on, we might have got him back
by now. He would have probably been back by now. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we've actually got out of him in this period where he was playing with the injections is fucking nothing.
It was pointless. It was pointless giving him to him. It's done. Moyes hadn't even picked him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let us know what you think. What do you think? Is this the best thing for Scamacca? Is it, a sad state of affairs? Is it what we, are we going to miss him? We haven't really seen him, but are we going to miss him? Do we need him? at this point of the season, in this situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, I guess, miss someone who hasn't got to play much. E20's own TV, shout out, mate, says Skamaka will always be a bad player when you got an awful manager. Yeah, sometimes they just don't mix. It's a travesty to buy Allaire and Skamaka and both end up unplayable. Something is badly wrong with the transfer system of this club. Yeah, honestly, it's we have had a torrid time with strikers, and I'll be looking into that one day on this channel. Watch, keep an eye out for that. Skamaka will be at Barca in 2 years, scoring 50 a season. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Honestly, I think he's quality. Skamaka would do well at Newcastle. Yep, I think that's a shout. I think he suits them.
I think this is a good point. How to go from Brozier to Skamaka, and we actually got a better player. Funny enough, yet Brozier fit the actual system. He would have fitted us perfectly. Perfectly.
Yeah, this is it, because a few people have used that to defend Moyes of going, well, he wanted Brozier. He wanted Brozier. Moyes was actually come out and said he looked at Skamaka in January. So if you're looking at a Brozier, right, and Brozier is one of your first choices, surely your second, third, fourth choices all have to be in a similar mold. Do you know what I mean? Rather than second choice is going to be a striker that just doesn't suit us, but he had good stats that's in Sassuolo or something.
It's like if you cast him for a film. Yeah, if you want John Goodman to be your leading man, yeah, and you can't get John Goodman, you go for another big guy that's similar ilk. You don't get
Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, you don't go, well, John Goodman ain't available. Who can we have? Brad Pitt. Yeah. It's different. It's different, If you're casting, John Goodman for the role of something, it's for a reason. And if you can't get John Goodman, you can't just go, oh, who should we have? Toby Maguire. It doesn't make any sense, does it? They're different people, they're different molds. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I got a feeling that these ain't his signings, and he was umming and ahhing, and I think they've just literally stuck it on his lap and just said, "Look, fucking get on with it," because I don't think the fan base could have took another. He's taken 18 months to decide on this centre forward.
Never in Dave. He got that name for a reason. Honestly. Let's super chat here from Josiah again. Thank you once again, mates. £5 super chat says 11 years ago today we battered Brighton and Hove Albion. 11 years of hurt. I was at that game.
Yeah, it was 6-0,
Yeah, 6-0, I think.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, wow, I was in dreamland. That's why I love the championship. But like that Michael Jordan meme, they took that personally. Obviously, because we've never beat them again. That was their fucking villain origin story. That was, wasn't it? They're fucking bloody hell. You touched a bit on this earlier, Nick, right? You went into a bit about the Ghent game, right? Because I want to bring this up. Like, I think there was an air of confidence, right? Regardless of what happened in the league, our Conference League form was good. We always felt like we could get to the final and we had a good chance of winning it, regardless. Yesterday was a bit of a reality check for me, right? Because I looked at that, and that's the first time I was after watching that game, I was really, really worried about our chances of winning this competition. Whether I was deluded before or whatever, that worried me. I don't know about you, if that brought it home for you.
I hope that was them being a bit complacent. And the thing is, with the competition, I mean, no, I'm still confident that we're going to go through. On paper, we're the better team, but football isn't played on paper; it's played on grass, which is an old saying. And on paper, pound for pound, player for player, we've got a better side. But when you look at the organisation, how they set up, they knew that they was well drilled. and all of that sort of stuff. They was the better side on the night by a long shot. And the mad thing is, and I don't know, somebody might be able to tell me. Someone might be able to be a lip reader or a body language expert or whatever. But first 10 minutes, we were excellent. We were excellent. We was pressing high up the pitch. We wasn't letting their full backs get forward. We was cutting them up, high up the pitch. We was putting hot pressure on them. We was forcing them into mistakes. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we just completely stopped. Everyone stopped doing what they was doing. And it was like they was told, drop in, because if the ball goes over the top, they're going to get in and all that. But what we was doing was working. And then as soon as we dropped deep and as soon as we let them sort of start to come on to us, it went to pot. And like we was at the end, we took the lead, against the run of play. They had the better play, and I think the only thing that sort of encouraged me is that they, we can still beat them, is that they didn't take the chances either. And they had the chances, They took one chance. Good finish, pad defending, no win, got too much space in the box, especially when you've got 5 defenders. You should be, the very least you should be tight in there.
T20 Zone TV makes a good point, actually. This is interesting. That system was a practice for Sunday's game with Arsenal. Because that is, when you look at it, that's exactly how I would, prefer to see us approach the Arsenal game than the Ghent game.
I don't think we can afford to. We're not good enough at the back, mate. He sold out. Let's be honest, right? Let's be fucking honest, right? He sold our best defender. He sold him. He sold our best defender. He sold the only one that can sort of play in that sort of system. He sold a very good source of our goals and our set piece threat. Like I know that Dawson wanted to go, and I know that he deserves to go, but we couldn't afford to let him go in the position we was in. We couldn't afford to let him go in the position we was in.
Trust me. Listen, we had a massive row on this fucking thing a few weeks ago on this show. Me, Scott, and Graham, and the chat. It was people that was there. It was heated. But yeah, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. And that has fucked us. But we've got Aguero, Bonner, and Zuma as a back three. Is Johnson
and Kehrer. And Kehrer.
Kehrer. I think those three are our strongest. But Johnson, as much as I love him, academy boy, he's just not. He's not on it. I mean, he's a right back anyway, and we're playing him, in a back three, shoehorning him in there. When you are playing and you are going that defensive, and you're inviting on that much pressure, a team, Ghent are a very attacking team. They've shown it. They've been banging goals in. And you're inviting that pressure. You need your best. You need your best defenders to be able to cope with that pressure. And Johnson's not the sort of player who can cope well under pressure. So that decision alone there was poor. We left back. We haven't got a solid defensive left back. So it's I agree. The approach was all wrong. It was all wrong. And Moyes, he went for the point. He got the point. That's how I looked at it. That's exactly what he set up for. That's exactly what he got.
Well, let me just answer this. One second. You two baldies are an embarrassment to the club going on about the Conference League. I don't represent the fucking club. I don't work for the club. Don't ever go to me.
What does it mean going on about the Conference League?
Like, I don't know.
We're in the fucking Conference League, you fool. Like, what we spoke with West Ham fans talking about West Ham. And West Ham are in the
game we played League last night, by the way.
Yeah, what an idiot. Paul G, $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Paul. Ben Johnson, lovely fella, but I've not seen a level of regression since the Matrix remake. Yeah, I mean, that season after we sold in Gakia, he stepped up and he looked like he was going to be the real deal. And then he got that injury.
He got played at right back. At centre back. He's not a centre back.
No, I know.
He's not a centre back. I don't see how Moyes thought that was a clever idea to put him at centre back. And I mean this with the greatest respect. I love Ben Johnson. He's not been playing well. He's out of form. that happens. You know, I can forgive that. But he filled in at centre-back at the beginning of the year and made mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. You know, we couldn't wait to get rid of him out of centre-back for his own good. Yeah. And what did he do? Brings him back at centre-back. It does not make any fucking sense. It's like he doesn't learn a lesson.
Yeah, no, he don't. He don't. Because I said the best. And listen, Johnson, even at right back, has been shaky this season. But the best we've ever seen him, you know, is at fullback. Even at left back, he's been able to do a job. So then, yeah, it goes on to more. Again, Ings scored. I know Ings scored, but you're playing him. You know, when we're playing a back five, he's completely isolated again for most of that game. He was, you know, and he managed to just be in the right place at the right time. But it's just, I don't understand his approach. But they just worried me because when I look at the level of competition we're going to play, look, Anderlecht. If we get through Ghent and we get Anderlecht, I still think don't write off Alkmaar.
No, don't. You can't write off Alkmaar. Good time.
Only a 2-goal deficit, and they've got to take. It's at Alkmaar next, right? But Fiorentina, we get Fiorentina in the final. How is Moyes going to set up and approach a final? You know, I don't think he's had much experience in finals at all. That worries me. Because they're a good side. They're a very good side. And if we try and play like we did against Ghent, obviously we'll play a full-strength team, but that's why that worried me.
There's a lot of chat going on about people having a go at the Baldies. I mean, I don't know why me being born with male pattern baldness bothers you. It's not really something I can control. I mean, yeah. I don't like people with green eyes. You know, if you've got green eyes, I don't fucking like you. Well, what can the fuck can you do about it? You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, mate. I've lost my hair. You know, I didn't plan it. He didn't plan it. Yeah. You know, why is that such a fucking source of hate within you? Like, why is me having no hair upset you? I don't understand.
People think it's an insult. It's not an insult to me. I love being bald.
It's fucking, well, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, you know, go and brush your hair. You're the one wasting money on gel, you Wally.
Honestly, it wouldn't suit me if I had hair. It's not an insult. It really ain't. It makes me laugh when people say that. So yeah, I didn't know about your prejudice against the green-eyed contingent. All the green-eyed people in the chat are like, "What's going on?" But yeah, look, let's before we go, let's look ahead to the Arsenal game. You know, me and you have been doing these previews with the Arsenal channels, and I know about you, but I've never felt so deflated doing these previews with them. Is there any way we can get something out of the Arsenal game?
Of course there is. Look, at the end of the day, like, in all seriousness, as unlikely as we think it is, as you know, as much as I don't think we'll win the game, of course there's a way we can get something out of it. You know, we can turn up and, you know, play out our skins, you know, and it'll be a good time to do so. We could turn up and they get 2 men sent off within the first 10 minutes, and then we've got the advantage. And we, you know, of course there's ways to do it. Do I think we will do it? No, I don't think we're going to do it. I don't think we're going to beat Arsenal on Sunday, I'm afraid. I think we're going to get beat, and I think we're going to get beat quite heavily. Let's be honest. I know, look, we give Newcastle the game, but in all honesty, Newcastle never got out of second gear. You know, they were strolling around the pitch and they beat us 5-1. This lot, as much as I hate to say it, they're a good side. They're a good side, Arsenal. They've had an extra fucking 4 days rest on us. They've got a manager that's, you know, he knows what to do. They've got players coming back who are hungry. I just don't think we're going to do this, Dan. I'm afraid it's one of them ones. You know, write it off. You know, get it out of the way. Don't take it personally. And let's get to the games that we've got to win, because we put ourselves with the last couple of results against the teams around us. We put ourselves in a decent position. We've still got Leicester. We've still got Leeds. We've still got Crystal Palace. We've still got, you know, games that we can win. You know, concentrate on them ones. This one, for me, there is little to no chance.
No. Yeah, I wish I could say disagree, but I don't. Let me just quickly read this. Come on, because it broke me completely. He says being bald means you can be a great coach. We need a bald coach. Moyes have too many hair. That's the problem. That's the fucking hell, Nick. That's where our season is. That sums it up. Someone clip that. That sums up our season. Oh fuck. Look, to me, a draw would be an amazing, amazing result. It'd be a great result. We go into this game with our expectations in the mud. If we can somehow snatch a point by, again, this is the time to be defensive, to frustrate, to be on it, to really just try and soak up the pressure and pick our spots. We may be able to get a point. I said if we somehow win this game, I'm having Moyes as my profile picture for a week. I'm holding a ceasefire. I'm not going to say anything bad about the bloke for the rest of the season. We somehow put it off, because that would be, oh my God, that would be brilliant. All the years, all the games, right, that we've played them, where we've just been the better team. We've been winning, and we've deserved to beat them, and they've just somehow found a way to come back and beat us. I just love to see it. Right, I'll tell you what, Nick, why don't we, if you've covered it off the top of our heads, lineups, right? Our lineups, what we go for. While you're thinking, as I've sprung it on you, I'll go first. Listen, this is what I want to see. I know it's not going to happen, but I would have Areola in goal. Never should have been dropped. It's going to be Fabianski, but I'd have Areola. I would go over back five. I'd go Creswell, and it sounds bad. He's a little bit more defensive than Emerson. Yeah, I know. Hey, give me a swig of that, because I can't believe I'm saying it. But Emerson was pretty poor for their goal yesterday. Still my first choice left back for this game. Just he's got more experience defensively. Creswell. Back three. Bonner, because he isn't suspended for the league. I think he's only suspended for the Ghent game. Bonner, Aguerd. I'd have Aguerd on the left, then Bonner in the middle, then Zuma on the right. Soufal, right wing back. Then I'm having Rice and Paquetá, as some of these fancy commentators like to say, Paquetá, in the middle. Ooh. Then I'm having Bowen, obviously, on the right. And then it's that left wing. Now, people would usually go 4 hours for the work rate. We still need a little bit of a creative outlet. So I'm sticking with Ben Rama, because we're going to have to create something, right? And then Antonio up top. That's my team.
I would go a little bit. I would agree with most of that. I would go Emerson, and I would go Soufal on the wing backs. I'd probably go with the same defence, same goalkeeper. Rice and Paquetá, yeah. I'll go Cornet.
If we play Downs, by the way, I think he's getting sent off in that game. He's going to have a lot to deal with in the
midfield. I play Cornet, Bowen, and Antonio, and I will go Antonio.
No, Cornet, yeah. Counter attack, pace. I changed. I agree
different.
With that.
Saying that no one's seen before. I mean, we went to Arsenal the last. The thing is, like, if you saw yesterday, in the game, they was getting so much. You know, the fullbacks were really struggling yesterday. They were really struggling, and like that is Arsenal's strength. Is their wingers, Saka and Martinelli are, listen, they haven't got many weaknesses at the moment. Let's be fair. I think we can get hold of the midfield. As much as Thomas Partey is a fantastic player, Xhaka's a fantastic player. I see enough from Paquetá yesterday, and Rice is obviously, he can take the grip of any game. It's Souček. If you put Souček in, then I think we'll get overrun. Souček runs around doing not a lot of nothing, and this is these are some of the better midfielders in the thing. If we pick the right midfield, we can get hold of that midfield tomorrow, and nullify that. The fullbacks have to be on it. I think Antonio, for his hustle and bustle, I think it'll be a little bit more, effective than Ings, and I think Ings can come off the bench a bit later. whether we be chasing a goal or giving them something different, more different to think about. But we've got to make them think. Yeah, the problem with West Ham is that Arteta's got a fucking a bit of paper in front of him, and he knows exactly what we're going to do, and he knows exactly who we're going to play, and he's already nullified it, and he's already worked his way around it. And Moyes will not think outside the box.
Yeah,
that is it. And he's probably had that fucking sheet of paper hanging up in his office for 2 seasons. If I'm honest.
Yeah, I think with a front three of Cornet, Antonio, and Bowen, there's a good counter-attacking ability there, and it gives Arteta something to worry about, and the players where, if you have Ings on there, and I love Ben Rama, I did say to him, but players that are a little bit required to be on the ball a bit will be a bit slower on the ball, and Ings will be more isolated, and they can just attack with impunity and not have to worry about anything coming back at them. They're going to score eventually. They're going to break us down. But if you can break every now and then, even if you're not scoring, even if you're not getting that shot on target, you make them realize, shit, we've got to be careful. They can't commit as many players forward.
I would. Do you know what I would do as well? I'd mix it up a little bit, Dan, and I'd put Bowen up top, and I'd put Antonio out wide. Just to mix it up a little bit, just to give them something different to think about. And if you think about the game last year, Bowen tore them pieces.
He did. He did. The only thing about that is
he tore them to pieces.
Antonio's better at holding the ball up. So if we are putting those long balls up to Antonio, he can bring the ball, hold it up a bit, and wait for it. And he's usually the first one up there. Maybe that's the only thing I sort of look with Antonio, where Bowen is great, balls to feet, bursting forward.
No, so we should be playing in a way to get try and get the fullbacks up. Trying to get the sort of little cutbacks and that to Bowen. We should be trying to use the pace and the strength of Antonio and
Zinchenko have showed against Liverpool. He's a little bit shaky defensively.
He can be. He's a good player, Zinchenko, but he can be, he can be got at. If we get the right players around him, we have to try. The thing is, Dan, if we try something different, it doesn't work. You haven't fucking lost anything. We go with the same shit. They've already got that fucking game of attack and the team on there.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm going to ban this geezer. I've had fucking enough of this geezer.
This guy, he's not my biggest fan, I don't think.
No, fuck it. Try something different. The element of surprise sometimes. But in all reality, Dan, as we're ending the show, right, and I've been a bit fucking of a downer tonight, I know, but in all reality, Arteta's already got that fucking bit of paper pinned up. He knows exactly who we're picking. He knows exactly the way we're going to play. He knows exactly how to nullify fight, and he knows exactly how to score goals against us. And that will be the reason we don't beat Arsenal tomorrow.
So, well, I guess I've got to press you for a prediction, mate.
7-0.
Fucking hell. Bloody
6-1 Arsenal.
Pass me that bottle of vodka. Yeah, that's what it'll be. Fucking for me, look, heart says 1-1. And I can see, us West, we always score first against Arsenal, and they fucking come back and do us, right? But maybe we score first, and we hold on long enough for them to only score 1 goal. I think the pressure is on for them big time, and they are due a big slip up, and we are due an upset this season. All the teams around us have had big wins against these teams that are doing really well. We haven't. Do you
know what I would say as well, Dan? Right? In all seriousness, it's not. I know I said 7. I'm not. It could be that. It could be. The one thing I would say is that it's coming squeaky bum time for Arsenal. Yeah. It is coming squeaky bum time for Arsenal, and sometimes, these are the games where, you can slip up. Like last week, 2-0 up against Liverpool, cruising, a little bit of pressure on them, and they folded like cheap origami. To be honest, they folded like a bad poker player. And we need to, if we put pressure on them, if we find a way to put pressure on them, you could come up with an upset. But we need to find a way, whether it be through, a difference of team or just everyone on their day. And listen, 3 points for us tomorrow is as big as 3 points for them tomorrow. As much as they want it, we should want it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yes, it'd be huge. It'd be a bonus. Yeah, look, if I had to bet money on it, I would go 3-0 Arsenal, and that really hurts me to say that. It really hurts me to say that. But we go into these games with low expectations because we somehow win. We come out of that stadium absolutely buzzing.
Listen. I'll take a loss tomorrow. I'll take any loss tomorrow. I'll take a 7-0 loss tomorrow, as long as the players Sunday. As long as the players show fight and a little something. As long as they show something in that game, as long as they show that they're not beaten yet, and they have got fight and they have got determination and they've got a bit of winning about them. I will take any result tomorrow. But they need to show that. If they don't show it to me, I'm still fearful. I thought that win last week wasn't a great win. I don't think that was a great performance yesterday. I don't think last week's performance was great. I don't think the Southampton performance was great. Ironically, the one that we played well in is the 5-1 Newcastle game, and it was all individual mistakes. But we
haven't had anything to shout about this season. We haven't come out of the game. When you come out of that ground and we're like, we haven't had any of that this season. We're due it. Like, oh my God, just give us one game where we can just forget about all the shit and just fucking absolutely enjoy ourselves and just lose ourselves in a result, please. But I don't give us much hope.
Somebody said about the Hammer It Out podcast. Yes, as I said on the video yesterday, we've lost our co-host. Dom's not going to be with us for the foreseeable future. So we are looking for a new co-host. As I said yesterday on the channel, like if you are a patron, suggest who you'd want to see. I could get these guys in, no problem. We just have to make sure we're filming it on the right times. I've been backwards and forwards with Dom just to see what he can and can't do. We've decided that it's probably not best if he's he can't do it. He can't do it. It's he just steps away from it altogether. We're not falling out. Nothing untoward. It's just something personal at the moment. So
I've had a lot of shouts for Marshy. Actually, I've seen a lot of comments.
Seen a lot of shouts for Marshy. Yeah, but the only thing is, I'd like to get someone that can come into the studio. That's the thing. I could do it remotely, but I don't think it has the same dynamics as when you're in the studio or in the same room. So possibly someone we can meet up with and something we can sort out. But, I am sorry that there hasn't been, but, this is totally out of our control. We've both had, personal issues ongoing. And as soon as they get caught out, sorted out, something else has come up for Dom. And it's honestly, it's uncontrollable. If he may tell you in the future, and that's up to him. I can't talk for him, but you need to, just bear with us because it is coming. And I don't want to just chuck them together every week and all of that sort of thing.
A lot of shouts for Brian. We have been trying to get in touch with Brian.
Trying to speak to Brian, yeah.
So I'm glad everyone's on the same wavelength as us. We are going to be looking to get Brian on some more stuff. Don't you worry about that. Great guy. So yeah, you'll. Look, hopefully we'll get in touch with him soon. So, but yeah, no, listen, another good show in the bag, Nick.
Yes, fantastic.
Now we look forward to this game. But yeah, listen, I want to thank everyone for watching.
Hold on. Ethan, who? Who's Ethan?
Does he mean Bazinga?
Bazinga? Listen, he's a pal of mine, but I wouldn't even be able to fold the laces in his shoes, let alone him to come on to the show. There's no chance.
Shirtless Jace. Fucking hell. We listen, we want to get more subscribers, not lose subscribers. But yeah, honestly, nice. Well, listen, don't worry a little bit. We'll get some good guests, some different guests, so do look out for that. But yeah, listen, everyone, thank you for all your comments. You make the show what it is. Thank you to everyone as well who sent the super chats in. We are beyond grateful, believe me. And yes, on this weekend, look out. There will be a preview with myself.
Before you go on, mate, this is a good shout. Where's he gone?
Listen, we tried to get in touch with him a while back, didn't we? For about the podcast, the first iteration of the podcast. Remember, me and you did.
Yeah,
we did try and reach out to him. So if anyone's in contact, if anyone knows,
it is an exclusive, right? I'm going to tell you what happened, right? Just before we finish, I'll finish on this story. Hammer and Talk was a big personality early doors in our West Ham online career. He was at one point he was a big channel. A big channel.
He's the second biggest West Ham channel, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. He went, for some reason, one day he just quit, went missing. Don't know where he went. He was a friend of ours. We when we started doing the podcast on Spotify first time round, we tried to get hold of him. He just completely fell off the planet. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, he messaged me. He just said, "Nick, blah blah blah. Sorry, mate. Been busy, but I had a baby, all this sort of thing." And I said to him, "Mate, like, people need to know and want to know what happened to you." And he just said, "Listen, at the moment, I'm not interested in telling anybody what's happened to me and why I've gone away. Not interested in that anymore. Getting on with things." And that was it. He goes, "One day I'll be able to come back and say things." But just look, listen, I respect the guy, man. I respect the guy. He decided that he's leaving and he fucking left.
Yeah.
He left wanting more. I wonder if his channel's still about.
Maybe. I don't know if he's took it down. We'll have to have a look. But yeah, so yeah, we'll get some good cons. If we can get him, if he comes back, listen.
If he comes back, we'll get him first. I promise you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think crossed. But don't worry, we'll be looking at all sorts of guests and a range of guests that we can get. So
he's still there. His channel's still there.
Still there. So there you go. You can watch the old videos.
No, you can't. There's no videos on there.
Oh, okay. He's took the videos down. Yeah. So, but no. In the meantime, like I said, tomorrow preview with me and Troops up on the show. Absolutely top bloke. Done the preview, then had to fly back to the UK tonight. Nick, you got a video with Robbie?
Robbie, yeah, I've got a Robbie preview coming up tomorrow.
Robbie, so you're gonna have lots of previews ahead for the Arsenal game. So do keep an eye out for those. And like I said, Sunday, all the reaction, all the fallout from the Arsenal game. Do look out for it. So that's it. One thing left to say, mate.
Come on.